Joseph Woll. But what he's done over the last 3 starts and coming in and relief for Ilya Samsonov has been incredible. He's leading the league right now in his few starts in goals saved above expected, above some big names. Like, he is at the top of the list, and he hasn't played the most sample size, but what he has been able to do is win games for the Maple Leafs, and that's what's going to matter. He has a steady, calming presence in the net. I like watching him play. I like that he comes up and has big saves and big moments. You can't always say that for the other netminder, right? You're going to compare and contrast them because they're fighting for the same crease. The controversy versus competition for me is important, and I think that's the mindset that they should both be having. Hopefully they do, where it's not going to like hurt someone else by the other one being better and being competitive. It should be a battle. Like, Ilya Samsonov should look at this game tonight not as the biggest game of my life, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to prove that I should be the starting goaltender and see it more of a confident feeling than a nervous challenge, right?
Well, step one isn't to like win back the starter's job. Step one is to just have a decent start. And until he does that, he can't make any inroads towards getting his starter's job back. I still think it's a competition rather than a controversy. I think both these guys are going to have to play because we haven't seen it from Joseph Woll yet, and we still are waiting to see it at all from Ilya Samsonov this year. So he's just got to have a good start. But it feels like he's in his head about all of this a little bit too much, too soon. For this season, I mean, we are only in week, 3? And he's already talking about how hard this is on him and his family. Like, that is a little too heavy for what the situation actually is, which tells you, I think, a little bit more about where he is in terms of just being a day-to-day career guy that's playing as a number one goaltender for a competitive hockey team. Like, it just raises red flags for me. And for that reason, I just am uneasy about the prospects of him being the guy for this team.
Certainly a big night for him tonight. Samsonov getting the start as the Maple Leafs head down to the Nashville Predators at Bridgestone Arena. They're out on the ice right now for warm-up. We'll have the game in about 15 minutes. A couple other things we've learned.
We got to go rapid fire.
Morgan Rielly looks like a very underrated, underappreciated player for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He has been for his career, but certainly over the last couple months and into end of last season, he's been one of the most consistent, best players for the Maple Leafs.
I've learned that last season was irrelevant, at least the regular season, because he was bad for a lot of it. He was affected by his lack of production. You want to talk about Samsonov being, dealing with the mental block, the mental hurdle. That same thing applied to Morgan Rielly, and he eventually broke through and free of that with a really, really good postseason. But he's returned this year as not a different guy, as the same guy that we expected him to be prior to last season. So I'm going to consider last season a blip and him to be that number one defenseman. Maybe not the best number one defenseman in the league, maybe far from it, but a guy that you really, really like at the number that he's at and with what he brings to you on a daily basis.
Yeah, leads the Leafs in ice time. He's a point per game so far through 7 games. The sample size looks good when you also compare and add into last year's playoff run where he was maybe the MVP of the playoffs for the Maple Leafs. Okay. John Tavares. You got some John Tavares thoughts, Justin?
So I've been one that's kind of been predicting his decline a little bit, right? Like the last couple years of his contract, how's that going to look? Is it going to be a huge impediment? Well, we're at the end of his contract, basically, and, well, he's performing at a really, really high level. He's been one of the I wouldn't even put a number at it. He's been one of the top stories for the Maple Leafs. He's one of the biggest positives for the Maple Leafs to start this season. He looks like a guy who has adapted his game to make up for some of the deficiencies that you get with being a little bit older. He's playing in the net front. He's playing in the half court, if you want to call it. He is strong and putting himself in positions to score. He is doing what he has to do to remain productive. And guess what? He's been productive. Him and William Nylander have been very good as a tandem to start, as individuals to start. And I expect this to continue. I mean, we're in the second last year, I believe, of his contract. We can check that in a second. But it just doesn't seem like John Tavares is going to hit that wall because the contract is almost through. And then we can redefine expectations when the number changes.
11 points in 7 games, looking really great with that connection with William Nylander, which has been something that has been a Sheldon Keefe staple, right? And sometimes it's worked and sometimes it hasn't. And so far this season, he's been looking really, really great and young. He looks young out there. He doesn't look he's got a little youthful vibe around him. Maybe that's because he's been hanging out with Matthew Nyes, who's my next point. Fifth on the 7 things we've learned is Matthew Nyes is for real. Maybe it's because he's living with the captain. Maybe because he looks like he's got what everybody likes
drinking
to call
the kombucha.
Quote, NHL ready body. But he is a big guy and he's working hard and he's playing confident. And he doesn't look like he's fazed by the moment whatsoever. And the Maple Leafs picked, I think, a young stud that's really found his fit so far with the Maple Leafs through the beginning of the season and some of the opportunity we saw him last year. But Matthew Nyes has been a pretty big point so far. The Maple Leafs started their season.
100%. I think we've learned that he was Kyle Dubas's best draft pick. That wasn't an absolute layup. And again, you could assign credit to whoever you want. But when Kyle Dubas was in charge, there's a small pool of players he actually selected because he traded a lot of first-round picks and a lot of high picks away to try and put this team over the top. But in terms of the guys he can claim as his, I think Matthew Nyes is the guy. I think he's going to be the guy that ages the best. I think he's going to be most valuable. And right now, if his value is bringing Max Domi utility and meaning and purpose in this lineup, I think that's a huge thing too. And it might not be, hey, this bonanza of scoring from Matthew Nyes. It may be if he got a chance to play with Matthews and Marner, or he got a chance to play with John Tavares and William Nylander for more prolonged stretches. But if he can make the third line productive, if he can make Max Domi productive, if he can make it work because he is that good in the middle six, then there's tremendous value in that too.
Yeah, it looks like they've been really happy with that duo or that pairing of Nyes and Domi since they've had a couple runs together. Some consistency for Sheldon Keefe in the lines is always nice, I'm sure, for players as well. So keep building that chemistry. Okay, 6th in the 7 things we've learned. McCabe and Klingberg, not a match.
No, and that was like the thing that was most, it was where they gravitated towards first. It was what they put on paper first because these two guys have more experience than, well, not more experience than Mark Giordano, but they looked like the more natural second pairing. But of course, we saw it not work and we saw it split up and we've seen way better results with them not playing together. Of course, Jake McCabe is hurt. He's not playing tonight. But those two as a second pairing, maybe you're crossing your fingers hoping that was going to be something that could last 82 games, be something in the postseason. I don't think they're ever going to get there.
So Jake McCabe out. Seems like the injury will be less severe than anticipated originally. So William Lagesson will get to play tonight. Don't know the full extent of Jake McCabe's injury, but when we talked to Luke Fox, he said that everybody was a bit relieved. So that's a good sign. Okay, finally, in the 7 things we've learned in 7 games, the locker room might be more convinced than the fan base that Ryan O'Reilly is the right fit for the Maple Leafs.
Ryan Reeves.
Yes, Ryan O'Reilly. I got Ryan O'Reilly on the brain. I just saw his face on TV. Ryan Reeves, that guy.
And that's for sure. I mean, I think we could glean that from just one, social media post where Austin Matthews is celebrating, handing the championship belt over to Ryan Reeves. Clearly, the guys like him. Clearly, he's doing those things that guys who are about intangible are doing, whether it's putting together fantasy football leagues and playlists and doing everything that goes into the off-the-ice stuff. But the fans aren't as privy to the off-the-ice stuff as they are to the on-the-ice stuff.
Fans have access to advanced stats.
And those advanced stats
Corsi.
Are not pretty.
People aren't liking the Corsi, I'll tell you that.
No, they're not liking the Corsi. They're not liking the advanced data for Ryan Reeves. And they have liked certain things from Ryan Reeves. I mean, there have been some shifts where he's smashed a couple guys and fought, and there are things to get up and be really excited for when it comes to Reeves. But we're seeing less of it lately, and for that reason, we're seeing more of those nasty underlying metrics.
Okay, so through 7 games, we found a lot of things that we did learn about this Maple Leafs team. Still to be learned, though, is an entire season of how these things age, if they're just sample sizes that are too small. Can there be some consistency? Because a lot of these things we learned are positives. The Maple Leafs have had a good start. They're 5-2. They have had an opportunity to win some big games, have some players have some big moments. There's some consistency. There's some streaks going into tonight. That all has to continue tonight against the Nashville Predators, including Samsonov getting a big start and a big moment for him.
Yeah, I mean, there might be no bigger learning opportunity than tonight. I think Ilya Samsonov, with all the pressure he's put on himself, saying that this has been a tough week, and if it doesn't turn around, how's it going to feel? How's it going to look? How am I going to be able to overcome what is ahead of me? Is Joseph Woll in my head? Can I push through this mental block that he's currently in? He can answer some of those questions. He can prove something to a fan base. He can change the narrative for his season tonight against the Nashville Predators if he looks like a goaltender who came into a season for a competitive team as the 1A at bare minimum.
On the other side of the break, we'll go through the lines for tonight, the starting goaltenders, give you a preview of our player to watch, who we might have mentioned in the first hour that we've been on the radio. I hope so.
Here. I mean, we've mentioned a lot of names.
It could be any of the final 3 or 4 people that we picked, but we got a good one for tonight. And then we'll get you set for Puck Drop. We've been, we're pretty fired up. We're watching the fans come in, and it's looking good.
We wish we were there.
All right, you're listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
All right, everyone. Step up and down. Left foot, right foot, you're climbing up a trail. Now back in your Subaru with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and getting active in the real world. Work those abs, driving right through the mud and left and right. Keep that core engaged and bend at the knees as you load more into your Subaru. Windows down, take in that outdoor air and park.
Get more value out of every kilometer at your local Subaru dealer, starting with award-winning safety.
Truck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2-minute truck, 2-minute truck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2-minute truck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important news bulletin. Desjardins Insurance was spotted downtown helping everyone in its path. Unpredictable weather, fallen tree branches, wayward baseballs flying towards second-story windows. Desjardins Insurance is helping Canadians through it all. Is there nothing this large and friendly ally won't do for neighbors in need? Never before have we seen insurance with a heart so big it shows.
Desjardins Insurance, home and auto. Learn more at desjardins.com/heart.
Move up to Heathwood. Hi, I'm Hugh Heron. Experience true luxury at Williamsburg Green in Kitchener. Heathwood's all-brick single-family homes come with a long list of features you've always dreamed of. Gourmet kitchens, freestanding tubs, and even fully finished lower levels. Dare to compare and you'll see why it's time to move up to Heathwood. Learn more at heathwood.com.
Want to hear something scary? Spirits are swirling in the SiriusXM app with creepy Halloween treats. Drift into the dark with Scream Radio.
Here's Johnny.
Or ride with the devil into Nitro's Halloween Headbangers. Find even more monstrous fun right now on the SiriusXM app. Just search Halloween.
In case you missed it, on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere.
Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski. Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. Under review.
It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. Had all these good players around him. Wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under review with Mick Curran. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Hall of Fame defenseman Chris Pronger.
You look at rest and recovery now, that whole mindset has shifted tremendously from when I first came to the league in 93. So, there's a lot of pros and cons to everything. But overall, when you look at the skill level of the player and the speed of the game, it's certainly gone to another level.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
The Point.
I truly believe in 3 years, Jack Hughes will be worth $15 million a year. For $15 million a year, they got Hughes and Hischier locked up together. Those are two brilliant contracts, but there isn't a single area where I look at the Devils and think, okay, this is of concern to me. They're locked and loaded.
The Point with Boomer Gordon. Weekdays 1 p.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
High fly ball, well struck left field. That one back on its way, and that is gone. Home run, Tommy Pham. Swing and a high fly ball. Right field. Forget it. We are tied. Corey Seager. Swing and a fly ball. Right field. Carroll back some more. Gone. Ball game. Adolis Garcia the opposite way. And the Rangers walk it off in extras.
Got a lead though with Ilya Samsonov, with the commentary at practice, him admitting that this stretch where he has not been a high-performing goaltender, and his buddy and his platoon mate, Joseph Woll, has been a high-performing goaltender, has been tough on him and his family. When you put that pressure on yourself, it is big enough to be playing goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but when you start talking about how there's extra pressure on it, well, it sets you up for a pressure-packed Saturday night, hockey night in Canada, a big spot here from Ilya Samsonov. And if it doesn't go well, I mean, it's only going to add to all the internal struggle and external struggle that he's having with the Maple Leafs this year.
You know what pressure makes? Diamonds. So Ilya Samsonov better be in there visualizing all the diamonds on his Stanley Cup ring he could win with the Maple Leafs. Okay?
How many diamonds do you think are going to be the Leafs? We should not be talking about how many diamonds are going to be the Leafs Stanley Cup ring.
If he has,
but there's going to be hundreds, right?
Probably at least.
Is that the going rate now
at
on
least
diamonds?
67 of them.
Yeah,
I think they would do something.
I would
like
expect it to be more.
Anyway,
than that.
that's getting ahead of ourselves. But Ilya Samsonov tonight is the main storyline coming into this big game on a Saturday night against the Nashville Predators, who haven't, they're not the most prolific offense, but they're going to make this challenging for him. They're going to get in his face. They got some big bodies. They're going to be aggressive around the net. I'm sure Ryan O'Reilly is going to want to put one in the net against his former team for a little stretch. It's going to be a big spot for Ilya Samsonov to just settle, because when we watch him in net on the nights that he doesn't look himself, which has been recent, he's kind of like flustered. It feels
jumpy.
Like. He's jumpy.
Out of position.
He's sliding. He's going for pucks that he shouldn't be. And a lot of times, like the last game that was poor, some of them were screens and some of them weren't his fault. But it's like once one thing happens, it feels like a spiral effect for him at times. So tonight, it would be really great if the Maple Leafs got the first goal to help settle him. If they got out to a lead and then they could, not play from behind the entire game, which was the stretch for almost every game before the last one, right? They hadn't got the first goal. If they get out there first, maybe Samsonov can take a deep breath. He can be settled in the net and he can put up a good performance, because there has been long times and long stretches where Samsonov has played really well. Tonight would be a great time to start that next stretch.
100%. But to this point, there has been a stark contrast between these two goaltenders. Joseph Woll has been almost like, hey, whatever, hockey, great. It's not really that big of a deal. And it seems like it's everything to Ilya Samsonov. Mm-hmm. So that's the off ice. And on the ice, while Samsonov has been flailing and out of position and not giving the Maple Leafs the sort of performance inside the crease. If you could stay inside the crease, it would be at least step one. Joseph Woll has been in position to a T. He has just been so fundamentally strong, so almost perfection, it seems like, in a lot of ways, how he's played the position. And that is just the exact opposite right now when compared to Ilya Samsonov. So we're going to know before we actually know if he can, take the load off his own shoulders, because when he looks like he's fundamentally sound, he's put himself in a good place, and maybe the goals still go in, and maybe there still is that, hey, I don't know if I got it anymore, or what's going on? Like, can I keep up with this kid anymore?
You make it sometimes.
Yeah, at least in terms of words. But he can't fake what he's doing in the net. It's either going to look good and it's going to work, or it's not, because he hasn't been able to fake it with what is form and function that is a little bit off kilter right now.
I mean, fake the confidence that you're good. Like, get out there and tell yourself that it's not the biggest game of your Maple Leafs career, that it's another game on a Saturday night.
Too late. He's already done it.
Yeah, it's tough. So he's got to believe that he's got it in him tonight to be able to put together a good performance. So Samsonov, the lead story tonight. Let's take a look at the lines, because they're pretty consistent other than an injury. So we have a different defensive pairing. But Yarncroke, Matthews, Marner on the top line for the Maple Leafs. Bertuzzi, Tavares, Nylander, followed by Nyes, Kampf, Domi, Gregor, Holmberg, and Reeves. That's your forward line. Yarncroke was put up on that first line. I remember we discussed when we saw him in practice put up there. I was like, oh, well, it's just a placeholder. And I feel kind of bad saying that, because he's held that spot for a little while. And he might not be the perfect fit for Matthews and Marner, but something about him has kept him up on that top line.
Yeah, Luke Fox called him New Kerfoot last hour, and it's kind of New Kerfoot, and it's like, hey, we can trust you.
He also said he was a teacher's pet.
Kind of do a job there. Yeah, teacher's pet. I don't know if he's earned that to that extent. I think Yarncroke can get himself into some trouble sometimes, but I guess he is defensively responsible, and when you can do that, you can fill a void or fill a hole or do a job for the head coach. So that job right now is on a top line. Should he belong there in perpetuity? I don't really know. I don't know if that's the best thing, but for now, it is the best, because Bertuzzi has found something with Tavares and Nylander, and as we talked about last hour, Nyes and Domi have struck this chemistry early on. So it seems like this is what's most concrete, at least compared to anything we've seen this season. But I will say, in the small sample with all three of these lines, it hasn't been a masterpiece. And getting outshot by the Washington Capitals and having Alexander Ovechkin just shoot from anywhere on the ice kind of like plays into this. But we've got over 20 minutes for all three lines, all top three lines right now. Line 1 with Yarncroke, Matthews, and Marner, 27 minutes, 30% expected goals for. That's not great. Line 2, 22 minutes, 48% expected goals. That's not blowing the doors off anyone either. In line 3, 20 minutes, 44% expected goals. So nothing's been working unbelievably well since they've made the switch. But little things from shift to shift, or goals or partnerships or little chemistries, have given Sheldon Keefe enough to like and want to go back with what he's been rolling. I just wouldn't say this is a finished product yet. I think a lot has to develop still with a lot of the different partners and combinations that we have, at least in what we'll see tonight.
Yeah, Calle Yarncroke on that top line. He spent 8 seasons with the Predators, so he knows this place really well. Be interesting to see how he performs against his former team, if there's a little bit of a revenge angle, but he's up on that top line still. So he's got some great partners to play with. We should be looking forward to trying to keep that consistency. And as you mentioned, Sheldon Keefe, who sometimes gets criticized for the blender of the lines, has been pretty consistent with what he's liked. And so that's a nice thing for players as well, right? You know, I'm going to be out there if I'm Matthew Nyes with Max Domi, who has been a really nice fit, maybe an accidental fit, as Luke Fox put it when we talked to him at 6 o'clock. At this point, when you have things that are working, don't fix what's not broken. So the Maple Leafs have kind of been doing that for the last couple games, and it's going to be the look for tonight to start. On the back end, though, we do have a different pairing, because we don't have we have an injury on the back end with McCabe out, not sounding like it's a substantial length of an injury, but the groin injury nonetheless has William Lagesson playing in his first career game this season, right? Yes, and it's since
first
last
of the Leafs.
season.
First of the Leafs, yeah. He hasn't played in the NHL in a while. Played some games with the Edmonton Oilers a couple seasons ago, and has been around a little bit. And I think really that's the tiebreaker, is that there's a little bit of NHL experience for William Lagesson, because a lot of people were hoping to see Mikko Kokkonen, who was better than Lagesson during the preseason, get that opportunity. But they will go with Lagesson, an all-Swedish third pairing with him and John Klingberg, because Jake McCabe is out. But as you mentioned, some good news on the McCabe injury front. It seems like the absence, which they were worried might have been long-term, given, it's a groin and they wanted to do some imaging. It's not as bad, apparently, as initially thought. So it's still a shorthanded defensive corps. Still going to be leaning heavily on Morgan Riley and TJ Brody. But we'll see if Lagesson can be that 7th, 8th D type like he is right now. And you got to show something. If you're going to get these opportunities, he has that opportunity tonight with John Klingberg.
Across the ice, you'll see Ryan O'Reilly, who had a little stint with the Maple Leafs. We thought it was going to match as a perfect fit, but nonetheless, he's over there with the Nashville Predators. It's almost his 1,000th career game. How great would that have been? I think he's at 999 tonight, so almost there. But in 7 games with the Preds, he's got 4 points so far. But, you know, he was a guy that was loved in the city for the couple months that he was here. And now we get to watch your ex play for a new team.
What do you get for 1,000 career games? You get like a silver stick or something. He didn't want that in Toronto.
It would have
been maybe more of a ceremony that would have been in Nashville. But yeah, he made a decision. I guess there's no hard feelings because they went out for dinner with a couple, or he went out for dinner with a couple Leafs. Things, you know, I guess it's all good. But he didn't want to be with this organization anymore. He wanted to be with the Nashville Predators. We can debate until the end of time why he wanted that. But that was the decision he made. And I guess, you know, there'll be some boos when he comes through Toronto.
Okay, to wrap things up, let's look at our player to watch presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Play responsibly. You've got maybe 2 players to watch.
Yeah, I do.
Combo.
John Tavares. It is a combo. It's a combo to watch tonight. But you mentioned streaks. 7, they're point streaks to begin the season. 7 games for both John Tavares and William Nylander. They can match the record with points tonight to start a year. So here's how we're going to do it. John Tavares is going to assist a William Nylander goal, and that's not it doesn't happen that way, function that way on Bet365. But over 0.5 assists for John Tavares, over 0.5 goals for William Nylander is plus 250.
Okay, that's so specific. I hope it works out.
It's not that specific.
No,
it doesn't have to be the same
but
goal.
I love a narrative pick. That's one where it's like 2 things can continue tonight. Both players have been red hot. They're looking like a good duo out there. Parlay that puppy up. Let's make it work. All right. Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph have the call of the first period after the break. You're listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
The NFL trade deadline is Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Will it be a trick or a treat for your favorite team on Halloween? Who's staying? Who's on the move?
There's a business side of this, and sometimes you have to make tough decisions.
SiriusXM NFL Radio is your home for the latest news and rumors.
This trade is a huge upgrade over what they had.
Nobody covers the trade deadline like our experts on SiriusXM NFL Radio Channel 88 and the SiriusXM app.
In case you missed it on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere.
Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski. Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Under review.
It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. Had all these good players around him. Wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under review with Mick Curran. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
Hall of Fame defenseman Chris Pronger.
You look at rest and recovery now, you know, that whole mindset has shifted tremendously from what I first came to the league in 93. So, you know, there's a lot of pros and cons to everything. But overall, when you look at the skill level of the player and the speed of the game, it's certainly gone to another level.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on Sirius XM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter!
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the Sirius XM app. The Point.
I truly believe in 3 years, Jack Hughes will be worth $15 million a year. For $15 million a year, they got Hughes and Hischier locked up together. Those are two brilliant contracts. But there isn't a single area where I look at the Devils and think, okay, this is of concern to me. They're locked and loaded.
The Point with Boomer Gordon. Weekdays 1 p.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Radio Network.
The Leafs have had a wonderful road trip. They want to put the finishing touches to it here this evening as the Toronto Maple Leafs are down in Nashville to tangle with the Nashville Predators at Bridgestone Arena. And the brave men of the Braided Bungalows tonight, Ilya Samsonov, trying to find his game. 2-1-0, 4.34 goals against average, and an .831 save percentage. Jussi Saros is the workhorse of the Nashville team. He's 3-4-0 with a 2.58 goals against average and a .910 save percentage. And we're underway as it rolls down into Nashville territory. And our first stoppage of play is an icing call.
And for Saros, we were talking about this coming in the last 2 seasons. He played 64 games last year, 67 the season before. And now has started every game. And actually his numbers are pretty good considering he only lasted 20 minutes against the Edmonton Oilers. Gave up 4 goals in the first and was taken out. And yet comes with a goals against average, as you said, of 2.58. So you know the other games have been pretty good, including a shutout.
Face off in the Toronto zone. And the puck is dropped, and it is Tavares losing the draws. It comes back to Jussi at the point. Shot was blocked by a sprawling Bertuzzi. It goes into the corner. Tavares is able to punch it up on the wing, and Bertuzzi is out. He'll get to the red line and shoot it in and peel to the bench. Tavares pressures the defense. The puck goes around on the far wall, and it'll be brought out at center ice with a long alley-oop pass looking for Trennan, but it comes out into the slot area, but quickly knocked back by the Maple Leafs. Leafs are wearing their jerseys with the 3-dimensional numbers that are on the arms anyway, impossible to read. Here's a shot then by Yarncrook, which wide of the net, but on the arm panels they are very difficult to read whilst watching it here on this screen. So bear with us when you can.
It's like one of those things on social media when they show you a picture and it says, what number do you see?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, these ones are a little tougher. No score here early in the game, but it has been a great road trip and a huge win in Dallas the other night.
You know, hard to believe the Leafs in the last 10 games going back to last season. Last 10 on the road, 8-1-1. So that loss in Florida to start this road trip, their only loss in the last 10 away from Scotiabank during the regular season, obviously.
Played out into the center ice area by Nashville. Struck around now to the near side for Morgan Rielly. He couldn't find a centerman, breaking up the middle in Matthews. Puck goes into the far corner, and Brody will get there for Toronto, and he'll airmail it high to center ice. It's volleyballed back. Marner trying to come up with it, but it may have gone to Ryan O'Reilly, and it was a glove pass and a whistle as a result. And the first period presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Plus, must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Play responsibly. And if you're one of the Ottawa Senators, careful who you phone.
Well,
what a story that is.
If you're anybody.
41 games. Wow. Shot deflects wide of the Nashville goal, punched up on the wing, and out come the Predators at center ice and across the line, and a shot. First save of the game made by Samsonov is a pretty good one. Back of the net trying to get out in front. McDonough goes into the corner. Moving in front is Sherwood, but he can't get him the puck. It comes back to the point. Tyson Barrie sends it towards the net. Deflected wide, and it's around the boards and in, still back of the Toronto net. Woo, hit from behind there on a pretty dangerous play was Reeves as it comes back to the blue line, and now brought out at center for David Kampf. Across the line, and unable to make a pass with it was Nyes, who was in over the line as well. I hate these jerseys. Here are the Predators getting it up on the left wing. They'll get it in over the line. Liljegren punching it around the wall. Grabbed off by defenseman Giordano. Returned to Liljegren. Then knifed ahead at center. Gregor gets it across the line. Pass on to the wing, and a throw to the net was attempted there by the Leafs, but it was deflected and goes back into the far corner. As the Leafs tried to get that pass up on the wing to Pontus Holmberg, but it was knocked away. Now Reeves will send it back into the Toronto zone. Giordano holding it off and now starts back up ice. We've played 3 minutes and there's no score here in the first period. Played on the backhand deep into the Predator zone. Knifed along the wall. Trying to get to it there was Nylander. Tavares has it in his skates. It's into the corner. Punched back around the net by Cole Smith. Leafs are able to keep it in with Morgan Riley. And now fed to an open wing on the far side, and hustling after it is Nylander. Good play to get it back in the net and into the goal crease. And unable to get to it was Tavares, and then a shot from the point was blocked, and the Leafs have to scamper back to their own zone to restore. Here's Nylander in across the line to Tavares. Left wing side, Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi sends it back to the blue line. Walking into the middle, and a shot deflected off the goal post, and it's cleared into the corner, and now back of the net. Bertuzzi banking it back to the blue line. Now to Nylander at the point, a shot. And Saros with a shot and a save, and the rebound comes back to the line this time and is going to squirt out into the center ice area.
First bit of pressure by the Leafs here in the opening period.
Brody got it back along the boards. Matthews got it ahead. Marner in on the left wing to Yarncrook, and a shot off the glove went over top of the goal. Marner trying to keep it in, but out come the Predators to center ice. On the left wing side, Booty with a shot that went high and wide. Stumbling was the defense, and now a bit of a foot race here, but Marner's not going to get to it in time as McDonough sends it around the boards. Now played up on the wing out at center, but intercepted by Toronto. They wait for teammates to get onside before Matthews brings it in over the line. Marner couldn't help him out. Nashville with Ryan O'Reilly playing it right back down into the Toronto end. Evangelista into the forecheck, but couldn't come up with it. And the Leafs have rolled it right back down into Nashville territory, and going back is Dante Fabro, and he'll circle out of his own zone and start up ice. Plays it off on the right wing side. Cutting into the slot, Novak couldn't get a shot. Launch back out at center ice. Leafs will play it to the line and in with Domi. Nyes trying to help out as well as Camp. But the Predators get it to the red line, and courtesy of Luke Evangelista, the Toronto native, it's sent down into the Maple Leaf end. Now Domi. Outlets to the defense and quickly played ahead off a stick into Nashville territory. First period going along rather quickly. 14 and a half minutes to play in a scoreless first. Chipped down into the Toronto end. Out of the goal to play it, Samsonov. Leafs get it out at center. And Nashville will regroup with Jeremy Lauzon back in his own zone. Got it up on the wing. Carrier tried to play it in over the line but failed. Domi is able to knife it right back down into Nashville territory, forcing Parasinen back after it as it comes up on the wing. High into the air, trying to barge it out was Philip Tomasino. That was blocked and now rifled back into Nashville territory. Just 2 shots on goal, 1 apiece here as we played 6 minutes of scoreless hockey. Off the board sent in by Tomasino, native of Mississauga. The puck played to an open wing in the Leaf zone. Chopped off the glass but knocked down at the blue line. Long shot taken by Fabro, went wide of the net. Leafs playing it off the boards again, get it out. Fabro shoots it right back into Toronto territory. Giordano on the far wing trying to find Liljegren, sends it around on the near boards. Leafs try to free it up again against the boards, but don't get it out. A shot goes off a leg and goes wide. Still just one shot apiece coming out of the corner. It's Cole Smith. Tried to play it out in front as he went behind. Liljegren ties him up. Tavares trying to poke it up the boards. Couldn't. Centering pass doesn't work. Sharp angle shot. High over top of the net. Trapped at the blue line. Maintained by Fabro. Played off on the left wing side, but McDonough is unable to keep it in, and then it's stolen. Here's Nylander going to the left with a backhand. That was stopped. The rebound is somewhere underneath the goaltender. And it'll be held out by Saros.
You and I have talked a lot about William Nylander doing this. Stripping pucks, winning battles one-on-one. And this time it's Ryan McDonough that he strips the puck from and walks in alone. Tries to do a little tuck backhand through the pads of Saros and then tried to bank the rebound off of him into the net. Didn't go, but Willie Nylander again, very noticeable in the first period.
You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, on the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
This is my meal. I call this girl dinner. All the viral songs from TikTok's For You page.
You my little boo thing, so I'll give a hoot what you do. Say, girl, I know.
All on one Sirius XM channel.
I let all that get to my head. I don't care. I paint the town red.
Presented by creators like me.
On TikTok Radio.
TikTok Radio.
Listen now on Channel 4 and the SiriusXM app.
In case you missed it on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere.
Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on Sirius XM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores.
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter.
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the Sirius XM app.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen. Walks in. Put it between his legs. Shoots it. Score.
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM
Radio Network.
Morgan Riley took a shot off the left hand. But it's going to take more than that to keep him off the ice. He's back out there. These guys, as good as the equipment is, are playing with bangs, bruises, and all kinds of little knocks and nicks that happen through the course of a game.
Especially with the short cuffs on the gloves.
Oh, I know. A shot there, and Saros did well to get the right pad out and make the save. Leafs again in front of the net, looking for Yarncrook. Grabbed off by Marner, dropped back to the near wing. Riley plays it in. Centering pass there by Yarncrook was blocked. He works into the corner. Back to Riley once more to Marner. Marner off on the right wing side. Brody looking back for his defense partner, but a stick got in the way and deflects it out at center ice. And back to recover it is Morgan Riley. Up ahead for Matthews. Matthews onto the right wing side. A backhand in didn't work. Grabbed off by the Leafs again. Marner playing it back to the point. Giordano plays it towards the net, and it is caught by UC Saros, who isn't too much far past the crossbar, standing up. And all of the small people that played goal, and I count myself in that department, Mr. Ralph.
You mean short?
He's what? Yeah. Yeah, I guess what I did and what he's doing are not even remotely close. But you know what? I'm glad to see it. He's athletic. He's good. And everybody now, it's well, you got to have somebody 6'3", 6'4". I mean, that's just it.
Well, I mean, there's an obvious advantage to that, but you know, when you got the agility and the reflexes of UC Saros.
Leafs in with a pass through the goal crease and unable to get to it was Tavares in front of the net. Nylander working into the corner. Nylander centers and a one-timer taken off the wing, and it was deflected just wide. Good opportunity there for Bertuzzi, or at least Nylander. Puck comes back in across the line, sent high into the left wing corner, and it's gone too high and ends up in the screen and out of play.
You know what I think is going to happen, though, Joey? I think eventually you're going to see smaller goaltenders come into the league. I think it was no different than players. Remember defensemen, you couldn't play defense unless you're 6'4" or 6'5". You're not tough enough to play in the NHL unless you're 6'3" or 6'4". And then you had the likes of Marty St. Louis and Theo Fleury come in. Now all of a sudden Mitch Marner can be a star in the National Hockey League without being a towering Hulk. So I think goaltending might eventually catch up that way.
Well, I hope so. Here's Barry trying to get it to the net, and he does. And Samsonov catches that. Just the second shot on goal for Nashville. The Leafs have had 5, but there's no score in the hockey game.
Leafs only gave up 4 in the first period against Dallas a couple of nights ago. And then they decided, okay, yeah, we got to give Joe Wall more work than that. Wall was brilliant the rest of the way.
Brody gets the puck out at center ice. In on the left wing is Domi. He holds up, sends it into the slot area, but it was tipped wide before it reached the intended receiver, Nyes, in front of the net. Camp and Nyes are into the forecheck. Played up on the wing, and it'll be punched out at center by Thomas Novak. And now here are the Predators getting it to center. Barry had it taken away, played back into Nashville territory, forcing Jeremy Lauzon back into his own zone. 10:44 to play in the period. There's no score in the game. Right back down into the Leaf zone. Trying to chip it along back of the net was Klingberg. And it's played off the wall and to the line and out. Brought right back in again by Parasinen into the corner. Trying to work in front of the net, but it was taken away. Now here is Tomasino into the corner for Nashville. Tried to center. Bouncing puck. Leafs are able to secure it, but it comes to the side of the goal. And Samsonov kind of stumbled there a little bit and looked a little awkward trying to get down to cover it up, but he did. And a face-off from the Toronto zone in the circle to the right.
Probably wishes he had a few more drifters from the point where he could get an eye on it, make the save. And he was very critical of his own play as well.
He actually said that he was playing like horse manure.
Yeah. I don't think he said horse.
Well, I paraphrase.
Yes.
But you know what? But right now, it's between his ears. That's what he is working on, right? And it's a horrible, horrible feeling when you aren't comfortable and a lot of other things are going on around you, and you try to just be a brick wall, or for the lack of a term, a piece of plywood, as opposed to reacting and seeing it, right?
You try to block everything.
Yes, as opposed to save it. Now the Leafs have a chance in over the line on the right wing side. Trying to work to the front. And down was Saros, and trying to poke the puck free was Bertuzzi. But a nifty little play made by John Tavares, who comes off the boards, looks backhand, then pulls it to his forehand and launches it, but got up into the chest area of the Nashville goalkeeper. There is no score in the game from Tennessee. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
All right, everyone. Step up and down. Left foot, right foot. You're climbing up a trail. Now back in your Subaru with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and getting active in the real world. Work those abs. Driving right through the mud and left and right. Keep that core engaged and bend at the knees as you load more into your Subaru. Windows down. Take in that outdoor air and park.
Get more value out of every kilometer at your local Subaru dealer, starting with award-winning safety.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important news bulletin. Desjardins Insurance was spotted downtown helping everyone in its path. Unpredictable weather, fallen tree branches, wayward baseballs flying towards second-story windows. Desjardins Insurance is helping Canadians through it all. Is there nothing this large and friendly ally won't do for neighbors in need? Never before have we seen insurance with a heart so big it shows.
Desjardins Insurance, home and auto. Learn more at desjardins.com/heart.
Move up to Heathwood. Hi, I'm Hugh Heron. Experience a new level of luxury at Williamsburg Green. Your new single-family home will have all the modern features you dream about, even a fully finished lower level. Kitchener's newest master plan community with bike trails, parks, and a new library. Williamsburg Green has it all. It's time to move up to Heathwood. Learn more at heathwood.com.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey.
Y'all ready?
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
Maple Leafs and the Predators are scoreless. The Leafs return home to host the Los Angeles Kings on Monday. This has been a pretty decent road trip as far as where you had to go and having days off in between. There were no back-to-back contests. You weren't changing time zones that drastically with the game in Dallas. And you only got one night in Nashville. Just sort of an important bouncing puck. Well, I know when we used to go to Nashville, Mr. Ralph, that was a big concern.
That extra day.
Yes. I remember St. Patrick's Day in Nashville. Well, parts of it anyway. Brought to center ice and shot into the Nashville zone by the Maple Leafs. Out on the far boards it goes. A pass ahead looking for Cole Smith didn't work. And it's played back into the center ice area. And now Camp knocks the puck high in the air. No one seemed to know where it was. Now Domi trying to work around back of the net. His centering pass hit the back of the goal as he had a man out in front. And Nyes was all alone. Al Camp works back in on the right side. He'll launch it down into the Nashville zone. Punches it along the wall. Trying to get it up the boards. And Domi will force it back deeper into the corner. Nyes after it now back of the net, but it's played up on the wing. And Jakub Trenton will get it out at center ice for Nashville. Coached by Andrew Burnett, who won the President's Trophy just a couple of years ago for the Florida Panthers, as we get an offside at the Toronto blue line.
Well, actually, his last game was his 82nd, which would have been a full season. Obviously, a couple of years ago was when he took over for Joel Quenneville early on in the year, but led the Florida Panthers to that miraculous season. And if you want to know how miraculous it was a 30-point drop the following season. Although the Florida Panthers probably would take the drop to go to the Stanley Cup Finals again.
Yeah, it was kind of a strange circumstance for that franchise, was it not? Played into the corner in the Toronto zone. Klingberg is able to get it free. Got a pass out at center, but it misfires. But racing after it to deny icing is Yarncrook. Matthews trying to find Marner, but couldn't. Marner unable to get to it. It comes out into the center ice area, and it'll force the Leafs back in, but a loose puck comes free. Centering pass. Samsonov came way out of the goal, and then he was way off the angle, but it went way wide of the net, thanks to a wide shot taken. How the Leafs are able to break it out. Matthews to the line. Marner with back to Matthews, and a goal! Big save, rebound! Covered up and held by Saros.
But there's going to be a penalty here, and I think it's going to be a slash as Matthews took a pretty good hack going to the net. So with the Leafs out shooting Nashville now 7-2 with 7:14 to go here in a scoreless first period. The Leafs will go on the first power play of the game. But for Ilya Samsonov before that, and this is one of the problems when you start talking, Joe, about fighting your own head and having to battle through some tough times. You could see there Samsonov wasn't sure.
Hesitated.
He hesitated, went out halfway, realized he wasn't going to get to the puck, stopped again, and then sort of floundered to scramble back into the crease as the shot sailed wide. So it's going to be Forsberg that is gone as the Leafs go to the first power play of the game. By the way, Nashville has the second worst penalty kill in the league.
12:46, the time of the infraction. Leafs with the power play. Back to the point. Klingberg got a wrist shot away. That was deflected wide. Nylander on the far half wall. Spins it back to the blue line. Klingberg is going to walk the line. Back it goes to Willie. Nylander now to Matthews. Got a low shot away and a juicy rebound. No one could get to it, and it's poked out at center ice.
Matthews has gone low, 3 times in this period, including on the partial breakaway.
Now brought by Nylander to the line and in. Dished off to Tavares. Tavares still with it. Works it back to the blue line. Just kept in by Matthews, who got it back to Willie, and shot scores! Nylander off to the side, and Matthews got it to him. And the Maple Leafs power play opens the scoring. It's 1-0.
And I believe John Tavares will get the second assist on this, Joe. And if that's the case, then both he and Nylander extend their point streak to start the season to 8 games, which ties a Toronto Maple Leaf franchise record. Watch it again. Tavares, Matthews. No, it's going to be Marner's going to pick up the secondary assist. Tavares got it to Marner, then back to Austin Matthews, who made a great backhand pass to Willie Nylander, who was in the left wing circle. But for Nylander, second power play goal, 6th goal, 12th point of the season.
And tying, as you mentioned, Frank Mahovlich in 61-62, Lanny McDonald in 76-77, and John Anderson in 82-83. That was my first year. With 8 points to start the season.
I'm going to guess you don't remember reading it on social media your first year.
No, but I had invented it, and then I forgot to patent it.
No, in all
Otherwise,
honesty,
I'd be there. Now we've got Kiefer Sherwood in grabbing at Morgan Riley for some reason.
Somebody's got a penalty. The officials, I think, just pulling one guy out of the scrum. And Morgan Riley is without his helmet. And is it Sherwood that's going to go? Is he going to be the only one going to the penalty box? If he does, the Leafs will go in their second power play of the night. We'll let you know when we come back.
And if he wants to dance, there's a dance partner on the end of the bench that would like to get involved. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Let's go, football fans. This week on Let's Go with Tom Brady and Larry Fitzgerald and me, Jim Gray.
When I look at my career, I was able to do it every single year. Now, every game wasn't perfect, but every game was pretty good. I believe that if someone does make it as long as I made it with the degree of success, then I give them a lot of respect. It would be an unbelievable accomplishment.
Listen to Let's Go Monday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on NFL Radio Channel 88 and the Sirius XM app.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. In case you missed it on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere. Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on Sirius XM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter!
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Leafs Radio Network.
No, wrong there is TJ Brody of the Leafs. That was pulled out of the scrum, so the Nashville Predators go to their first power play of the game.
Wow.
The way they said, I thought it was... I'm with you. It might have been Sherwood that seemed to grab a hold of Morgan Riley.
Leafs are able to roll it out, and I mean just roll it out down the ice with absolutely nothing on it because there was no one there to keep it in.
That was a hurry-hard moment, wasn't it?
Yeah. Kornbroom wouldn't have even helped that. Forsberg dropping it off on the left wing. Across the line comes Roman Josi. Into the corner, trying to chip it along back of the net for Evangelista, but the Leafs have come away with it. And taking his time with it is Marner before flipping it the rest of the way down the ice.
Leafs are 17th in the penalty kill this year. Nashville Predators 13th overall in the power play, 6 for 29.
Forsberg brings it in over the line, looking for O'Reilly. O'Reilly works in off the wing. Got it down into the corner. Now gets it back. Now steps out with a shot and scores. Ryan O'Reilly got the puck at the side of the net and was unmarked. And he stepped right out and snapped it past Samsonov to tie this game at 1.
And for O'Reilly, that's his third on the season. Third goal, 5th point. As he and Roman Josi just switched places. Josi jumped down to the goal line just to the left of Samsonov. Got the pass from O'Reilly. Josi headed to the corner and then dropped it back to O'Reilly. And this goes, Joe, under the right pad of Ilya Samsonov and into the middle of the net. And these are the ones that I think, you don't say it's a terrible goal. It wasn't from long range. But when they go through you, I think that's when you know you're not blowing on all cylinders.
Third of the season for O'Reilly and his second goal on the power play. And it is a 1-1 tie here in the first period. Whoa. Lifted off his skates was one of the Predator players, and I'm surprised that there wasn't a penalty. Brought ahead now. Lagesson was the culprit there. It comes back to the point. Hold, and now a pass in front. Looking for a loose man in front. Bertuzzi was there, but it never reached him. And the Predators will get it out at center, but it's intercepted. Brought right back in again by Bertuzzi, who drops for Nylander. Back to Bertuzzi. He circles the net with it. Tried to play it back to the blue line. That didn't work. Bouncing puck into the corner. And Jakob Trenin for Nashville will straighten things out. And they'll stretch it out with 3:58 to play in the period before playing it out at center. And it is one-handed by Parasinen back down into the Toronto end. Pushed ahead on the Maple Leafs, trying to work out at center with Marner. Just getting it on the wing before it is shot down into the zone. Out of the net, Saros to play it along the boards. Leafs get there with Yarncrook. Yarncrook into the corner. Marner looking in front. A shot whistled wide of the goal by Yarncrook, and it goes high off a body and up into the screen and out of play.
Well, the Leafs have really dominated territorial play, haven't they? 9-4 only are the shots, but the Leafs have had a number of great opportunities, including a goal post here in the first.
Wow, the broken stick really worked out to the Leafs' benefit as the pass comes right. Instead of going to Matthews, it goes right on to Yarncrook's stick, and he gets the good chance. But into the screen it went. Kelly Yarncrook has fit in nicely here with Marner and Matthews.
He's sort of taking over the Alex Kerfoot role, right?
Yep.
Throw him anywhere.
Here's a pass on the wing. Riley down low. Centering pass in front of the net. No one could get to it. Down into the corner it goes. Yarncrook made that centering feed. And now the Predators will get it up on the wing, and Forsberg comes to center. Philip Forsberg had it knocked off his stick. Lots of Leafs back there to recover the puck. And it is Marner coming out with it, saucering it off on the wing as the Leafs are in the midst of a change. Played by Brody off a skate. In over the line, breaking in on goal with a backhand and went high over top of the net. Good opportunity, but it is broken up and now played to the line and not out. Leafs keeping the puck in. Good chance there by the Leafs' Yarncrook. Now back in over the line come the Predators. Trying to play it down into the corner. It comes around on the wall to the near side. A big collision. Klingberg takes his man down. And the penalty is going to go to Toronto. So the second straight power play for Nashville. And all of the goals have come with the man advantage.
And this is where the Leafs have got to be much better, is on the penalty kill. 5 for 22 they killed off coming in. Or gave up 5 goals on 22 times short. So that's now 6 goals on 23, which is going to be a little worse in the middle of the pack in the National Hockey League.
2:37 left to play in the period. Camp leans in. The draw comes back to the point. Walking the line now is Barry. Tyson Barry, the former Leaf, is now into the corner. No centering pass. Back to Barrie once more. Looks off on the wing. Doesn't send it there. Trying to get it back again, but a bouncing puck is stolen, and the Leafs have pushed it out at center ice. Trying to work into the open is Camp. It'll go to the right wing side. Marner doesn't send it anywhere. He is going to send it back to his own zone, and Brody will take his time before launching it out and down the ice. That was almost knocked down by Yarncrook, who was cutting across the blue line area. Minute 20 to go in the power play. Nashville 6 of 24 coming into the game. Have one already. Along the boards it is Evangelista. Getting it back again as they play catch. It comes back to the point. Barrie walking the line onto the left wing side. A shot bounces and goes into the corner. Comes back to the point to Barrie. Winds and shoots. That deflects and it went just wide of the near post. Now back to the blue line again. Barrie trying to keep it in and can't. Pushed out at center ice. Matthews steals. Matthews in on the wing. And his shot was deflected wide of the net by Saros. 38 seconds left in the power play. Forsberg with a shot. Down is Samsonov. And he's got it covered up and held for a face-off coming in the Toronto zone.
You and I just looked at each other when Samsonov made that save as he seemed to almost twist as the shot was coming towards him. And that's one of the things we've raved about with Joseph Woll, is how Woll squares up, follows the puck into his body, and give you Samsonov, for lack of a better word, Joe, jumpy.
Yeah.
Just not confident.
Shot goes off a body in front, goes wide of the net. Nashville maintains possession. Yossi down into the corner on the near side. Less than a minute in the period. Looking for a pass. Yossi gets it again. Back to the blue line. One-timer from the far side went off. Sounded like it went off iron. Kept alive now for Nyquist. Nyquist into the corner. Playing it back to Yossi once more. Wrist shot. Down is Samsonov. This time square to the puck and out at the top of the crease. Makes a good, comfortable save. And with 4 seconds left in the power play and 41 seconds left in the period, face-off coming in the Toronto end.
Austin Matthews with a great shot again on a takeaway here, while killing the penalties. And when it came to shorthanded shifts last game, Joe, Austin Matthews did not get a lot against the Dallas Stars. 5 seconds, I think, was the total for Matthews.
If my stats are correct, there were just the 2 penalties against, or 2 power plays against. Played to the line, broken up by Morgan Riley. Got it ahead. Leafs get in over the line with Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi to the far side for the captain. Tavares on the wall. Back to the blue line. 18 seconds left to Riley. Shot deflects. Loose puck. Covered up by UC Saros.
What a smart play by Morgan Riley. There's traffic to the left of Saros, which included Max Domi and Colton Sissons, and Morgan Riley thinking, okay, not many guys can beat Saros from out here. I'm going to throw it into the traffic and hope for a rebound, but Saros was able to trap it under his left pad. I mean, I just think this was
absolutely
so smart.
Absolutely.
Play for the rebound or the redirection. It almost paid off. 14.1 seconds to go here in the opening 20.
Well, Morgan Riley, 2 goals and 5 assists for 7 points is a great start to his season. And he's not on the #1 power play.
No. And has a power play goal.
Draw one. Shot by Riley. Went wide of the net. 9 seconds left. Brody trying to keep it in, but it's off a skate and over the glass. And into the crowd at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. And a faceoff coming with 7.1 seconds in the Nashville zone.
It's amazing how every year you've got the disappointments and the surprises, right? Edmonton and Ottawa, 2 teams that obviously are disappointed with how they've played to start the season. Or how do the Boston Bruins pick up right where they left off?
Isn't that something?
All those changes.
Here's Riley with time running out. Got the shot on goal. Centering pass in the goal crease is cleared just as the horn ends the period.
Boy, he did it again. Morgan Riley picked the puck up and just threw it to traffic in front. On a good day, both of those find the back of the net, but the Leafs will take a 1-1 lead into the locker room.
1-1 tie.
Well, I think a tie on the road is like a lead.
Good point. You know, I never thought about it that way, but you know what? That was a well thought out decision.
As bad as that line was, the fact that you listened made me feel better.
Boy, if we're going to start nitpicking, we're going to have a long night at the office. All right. 1-1 tie after 20 minutes of play. Nylander for the Leafs and O'Reilly for Nashville. Stepping aside, Eilidh Forfar and Justin Cuthbert with our intermission. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Add some ghoulish grooves to your Monster Mash. With the ultimate Halloween party mix. This is Halloween. The Freaky 50. A spooky selection of songs to make you shudder and dance. Find the Freaky 50 along with many more Halloween specials in the SiriusXM app. Just search Halloween.
In case you missed it, on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere. Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski. Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Under review.
It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. Had all these good players around him. Wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under review with Mick Curran. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
Hall of Fame defenseman Chris Pronger.
You look at rest and recovery now. You know that whole mindset has shifted tremendously from when I first came to the league in '93. So there's a lot of pros and cons to everything. But overall, when you look at the skill level of the player and the speed of the game, it's certainly gone to another level.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on SiriusXM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter!
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on SiriusXM FC 157 and streaming on the SiriusXM app. The Point.
I truly believe in 3 years, Jack Hughes will be worth $15 million a year. For $15 million a year, they got Hughes and Hischier locked up together. Those are two brilliant contracts. But there isn't a single area where I look at the Devils and think, okay, this is of concern to me. They're locked and loaded.
The Point with Boomer Gordon. Weekdays 1 p.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen. Walks in. Put it between his legs. Shoots it. Score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM.
The Leafs Radio Network.
Now brought by Nylander to the line and in. Dished off to Tavares. Tavares still with it. Works it back to the blue line. Just kept in by Matthews, who got it back to Willie and just scores! Nylander off to the side, and Matthews got it to him. And the Maple Leaf power play opens the scoring. It's 1-0.
Welcome back to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan of the Maple Leafs Radio Network. Ailish Forfar and Justin Cuthbert here. Leafs tied up after 1-1 to the Nashville Predators.
Was that a perfect microcosm of the Maple Leafs season, at least when Ilya Samsonov's in goal? I mean, we had two elite players performing at a high level, combining to score a very nice goal on a power play opportunity. Austin Matthews to William Nylander. And then that is countered and neutralized by a very bad goal, despite it being point-blank range, on Ilya Samsonov, where he's looking to make himself as small as possible, and it goes underneath the pad. Not a very good start for Ilya Samsonov. I think we should start there because he didn't look like the confident guy maybe you thought he needed to pretend he was going to be.
Yeah, not even that goal to begin with. A couple minutes into the first period, there's this awful, I don't even know how to describe it. He gets really far out of his net. Puck goes through his legs. It just misses the empty net. He was like, trying to play the puck, didn't read it right. Indecision, halfway out, halfway in. And it felt like that was a bit of a moment. There was, I think maybe one of the first shots that they had on net. It kind of bobbled beside his pad, and he went to grab it beside the net. Didn't look too comfortable doing that as well. And then a couple shots later, like Nashville didn't even pound the net much. Like I think they ended up with like less than 10 shots. They didn't get a lot of opportunities, and the one that does go in is no other than Ryan O'Reilly. Of course, as we said, he's going to get a goal tonight. He does it against his former team, and it's right at the top of the crease. He's got all the time in the world on the power play and puts it on the ice through Ilya Samsonov's 5-hole when it really would have been an easy save. If you had your stick down, you had your pads down, no 5-holes open. So it just didn't look like a lot of confidence from him starting from the first couple plays where he might have tried to go out of character to get some more touches. I think Jim Ralph was saying it'd be nice if he had a couple shots from the point, like a couple things that he could really like hold on to, but he didn't get that. And then his first couple opportunities were ones that looked very uncomfortable. And there we go with the Nashville Predators tying it up 1-1.
Yeah, I don't know much about goaltending, but I think confidence is something that's easily detectable. And when you're trying to like make yourself as small as possible as a goaltender, it looks like you're less than confident. And that looks like what exactly happened with the Ryan O'Reilly goal. I will say it was a pretty good period for the Maple Leafs. If you look at the underlying data, very, very good. I think the Sheldon Keefe would be largely pleased with what he saw, given that it's pretty slanted in the favor of the Maple Leafs if you look at the run and play in any condition. But if you have a goaltender who's not playing at the same level as UC Saros, let alone Joseph Wall, it's going to be worth a split period and a 1-1 tie at the intermission. So that's just something they might have to overcome in this game over the course of the next few months when they're not starting Joseph Wall. I'm not sure if that's going to be a thing that bleeds over, but Ilya Samsonov was the story coming in. What's his game like? Where's his head at? It did not look like a guy who shored up either of those two facets. Looked like a guy who's still struggling at his position and maybe struggling with the mental side of things.
5 shots for the Nashville Predators, 1 goal on the power play. On the other side, the Maple Leafs got off first on the score sheet, which is something they don't do often, but they have been doing lately. They got 13 shots on net, and that was almost our Bet365 players to watch combo that almost happened there.
Yeah, Ralphie had us excited there because he had given an assist to John Tavares, but it did belong to Mitch Marner, the secondary.
William Nylander with just another beautiful goal. Everything he's been doing is with class, with an artistic flair. His 12th point of the season, tying the record for most consecutive games with points to start a season with 8. All 8 games for the Maple Leafs. So that was something we teed up earlier in our show as well. As William Nylander's playing like he doesn't care about the outside noise, and he wants to go out there and play the best hockey of his career, and he's certainly doing that. And first, again, with the first goal for the Maple Leafs and being a consistent threat.
Yeah, scores as a stationary shooter, had chances on the rush as well. William Nylander is the complete package offensively, showed it in the first period, and was rewarded with a little slice of Maple Leafs history. It's hard to believe that it's only 8 is the record that is held between a couple different former Leafs, but we'll see now. He gets the opportunity to extend it to 9 the next time the Leafs are out.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with some more thoughts from the first period before we send it to the second. You're listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
NHLShop.ca, the official online store of the National Hockey League. And Canada's largest selection of officially licensed NHL fan gear. With unique one-of-a-kind designs by Fanatics, Adidas, and all the latest styles for every NHL team. Don't miss out. Shop now and get today's special offer. NHLshop.ca, a Fanatics experience.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important news bulletin. Desjardins Insurance was spotted downtown helping everyone in its path. Unpredictable weather, fallen tree branches, wayward baseballs flying towards second-story windows. Desjardins Insurance is helping Canadians through it all. Is there nothing this large and friendly ally won't do for neighbors in need? Never before have we seen insurance with a heart so big it shows.
Desjardins Insurance, home and auto. Learn more at desjardins.com/heart.
Truck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2-minute truck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2-minute-truck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
Move up to Heathwood. Hi, I'm Hugh Herron. Experience true luxury at Williamsburg Green in Kitchener. Williamsburg Green is everything you want in a community. Enjoy fabulous trails, parks, playgrounds, sports areas, and more. Our beautiful all-brick homes include luxury features you've always dreamed of, even a fully finished lower level. It's time to move up to Heathwood. Learn more at heathwood.com.
Mondays on City TV.
Why would somebody confess to a murder he didn't commit? That's why you're here.
Jesse L. Martin stars in The Irrational.
I was brought in because I know things about people. And the feelings we try the most to hide, fight the hardest to get out.
We need help figuring out his state of mind. Any interest in giving your assessment?
I'll be right there.
The Irrational. All new. Mondays 10/9 Central on City TV. Or stream it on City TV Plus.
Do more in a reliable Subaru, they said. Enjoy more time together to go more places with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive, they said. More award-winning safety for more peace of mind, but to listen to one song over and over again with fantastic acoustics. I love you, family, but the singing, nobody warned me about the singing.
Hurry to your local Subaru dealer and get more out of every kilometer this fall, including more karaoke.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey.
Nice has tied the game, but a brilliant play by Max Domi.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Most Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, the Maple Leafs Radio Network. Justin Cuthbert and Ailish Forfar, a 1-1 score after the first period between the Leafs and the Preds. And we got some other games going around before we get to that. Any more takeaways from our first?
Just looking ahead to the second, if the Maple Leafs want to build themselves another advantage, if they want to erase what Ilya Samsonov had a pretty major hand in giving back, it might be best they do so on the power play. The Preds officially own the worst penalty kill percentage in the NHL after that William Nylander first period goal, 65.2%.
Oh,
earn yourself some power plays, and you'll have a chance to get that lead back.
Okay. Well, is there a big physical guy on the Preds that takes a lot of penalties?
Ooh.
Like, who are you poking the bear? You got Ryan.
I don't know. That
Reeves.
Kiefer Sherwood just kind of lost it there for a moment. He got away with that, though.
Kiefer could be the guy.
Maybe Kiefer's the loose cannon.
Okay. Oh, to keep an eye on Kiefer. All right, let's take a look around the league. The NHL scoreboard is presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Play responsibly.
Busy day in the NHL despite the biggest game of the weekend, the Heritage Classic, going tomorrow, Edmonton and Calgary. But today already, there is one result in the bag. Anaheim, 7 goals on the Philadelphia Flyers. They win 7-4. Right now in the third period.
Oh, the Flyers were so good.
Well, maybe Torts magic wore off within 3 weeks. Seattle and Florida tied at 2 just starting the third period. Boston, of course, up 2-0 on the Detroit Red Wings. Islanders up 1-0 on the Blue Jackets. It's 1-1 Winnipeg and Montreal. Toronto and Nashville, of course, tied at 1. Ottawa up 2-0 over the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then later on tonight, there are 2 more games with the Rangers in Vancouver and the Vegas Golden Knights in LA.
And the Raptors beating Nick Nurse at home in his reunion currently, 33-27.
There you go.
That's an important update for
an amendment to the out-of-town scoreboard.
Looked like we saw Connor McDavid out on the ice ahead of the Heritage Classic tomorrow. He was skating in full gear with the rest of the team.
So you're saying not just a
It could have definitely been a photo op because there was lots of photos online as soon as he skated on. And they purposely left him to the end of the line of everyone going out on the ice. In the video, it's like wait to the end, eyeball emoji, and then there comes Connor McDavid out on the ice.
The eyeball emoji is...
As soon as you see the eyeball emoji, something's up.
Yeah, you know something's going down.
So maybe Connor McDavid plays tomorrow. It'll be a beautiful scene nonetheless. Commonwealth Stadium. Got the Battle of Alberta. That'll be a big one.
I can't wait for that.
I hope McDavid plays, but don't injure yourself.
Yeah, don't rush back just to play in an outdoor game. Probably not the best thing to do.
That's all good. All right, the Maple Leafs are tied 1-1 after the first period. And Jim and Joe have the call for the second period next. You listen to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
We are 7 weeks into the fantasy football season, and whether your team is in the race or ready to make the greatest comeback ever, Fantasy Sports Radio is ready to take you there.
It's more rewarding when you lose your first-round pick and you find a way to win anyway.
From start-sit advice to waiver pickups to so much more.
Zero concerns about Jalen Waddle. Stop complaining. Enjoy the fantasy points that are about to come.
Showtime! Make your move with Fantasy Sports Radio. Channel 87 and on the Sirius XM app.
In case you missed it, on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere. Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on Sirius XM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter!
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen, walks in, put it between his legs, shoots and scores!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM. Hockey lives here.
Suzuki sweeps it. There's a chance. Reno Caulfield shoots and scores.
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Join me, Scott Laughlin, and Gord Stellick, along with former NHLer Mike Johnson for NHL Morning Skate, weekday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Network.
Been known for a while, but officially today, or just a little while ago, Joe Thornton, Jumbo Joe, announcing his retirement. And one of the most strange trades, I think, in the history of the National Hockey League. November 30th, 2005, the Bruins sent the first overall pick from the 97 NHL draft to San Jose for Wayne Primo, Brad Stewart, and Marco Sturm. And all Jumbo Joe did was 1,539 career points, a Hart Trophy, 4 All-Star recognitions, but no cup.
I also believe he was the only player in NHL history to win the Hart Trophy when Beam traded mid-season.
So the Leafs to the left and the Predators to the right. And a 1-1 tie here to start the second period. Glad you're along with us as it is bounced down into Nashville territory. Soros pumps it back into the corner. Leafs trying to work it back to the blue line, but it's picked off and brought out at center ice and banked in over the line, but offside, says the linesman, who are tonight Tommy Murray and Tommy Holmes, Jean Hebert, and Carter Sandlak are the referees.
And they have readjusted the shots where it's now 12-6 Toronto, so they're taking the shot away from the Leafs. You got to keep track of that, because I know you have your little book where you keep track of them. And
yeah, well, I have it here. I had it down as 12-5, but now it's 12-6 because I haven't had a shot in the second period. Hey. The boys do a good job of going through it and taking away shots from people. I know that. Leafs bring it in over the line. A pass by Marner. And it was in behind Yarncrook, who couldn't get his stick on it.
Boy, that was way off from Marner's standards, isn't it?
Played down into the Toronto zone. Liljegren ties his man up, but it comes in front of the net. And a shot went wide of the Toronto goal. Fed back to the point. McDonough leaves it there for Forsberg into the slot. A shot deflected off of Samsonov and wide of the net. Back to the point once more. Over here it comes to Carrier. Now pass back to Carrier, working in with a shot off a leg of the Leaf defenseman. And it's pushed out at center ice, and Marner, waiting for teammates to arrive, sends a weak shot in on Saros, and now will peel to the bench. Brought back now by O'Reilly. 11 points in 13 games as a Leaf last year. Took a shot off the hand and was injured. And I really was disappointed when they weren't able to maintain and keep Ryan O'Reilly here in Toronto.
Of course, Luke Schenn in Nashville with Ryan O'Reilly, but Luke Schenn out of the lineup with an injury for now.
Speaking of people I wish were still in blue and white. Brought in over the line by the Maple Leafs. Now a centering pass into the slot. Shot down is Saros, and he took it off the chest and made the save.
One thing about being smaller, you have to come out and challenge a little more than the big guys.
Now the long shot off the blocker of Samsonov went up into this glass area behind the net. The Leafs are playing it off the boards and getting it out at center. Brought to the line and in. Worked in now looking for Domi. Knives into the corner. Centering pass. That went off his stick and went wide as Holmberg sent it towards the net. And out come the Predators as it swatted off the stick of Yossi down into the corner. Now the Leafs start back out with it. A left wing feed. Brought to the line and in. Knives going to the front of the net. A shot off the goalpost. And then Saros was able to cover up on it as Gregor worked in off the left wing.
Boy, second post of the night for the Leafs.
Back come the Predators. Fabro working down into the corner. Sends it back to the point. Walking in Parasinen. That was stopped, and the rebound is launched high to center ice by Toronto. Racing after it, Ryan Reeves. He gets tangled up with Lauzon. They look at one another. Shove, push, shove. Now the linesmen are in between them. Nothing more to develop. It was Kiefer Sherwood who seemed to be an interesting dance partner earlier in the first period when he got roughhousing with Morgan Riley a bit, but nothing develops here.
The thing that happened out of that scrum is T.J. Brodie took the penalty for roughing.
The Leafs come close to regaining the lead. Noah Gregor had it just go off the sleeve of the jersey of Saros and then the post.
Gregor opened the scoring for the Leafs in this season when he scored in the second period in their opener against Montreal.
Klingberg sends the puck down into the zone. Saros punched it along the wall. Grabbing it now is Trennan. He tries to work out on the left wing and pushes it out at center. That draws a crowd right at the blue line. Leafs are able to free it up, and Bertuzzi rolls it back down into Nashville territory. Lauzon getting it ahead down into the Toronto end. Tavares allows the defenseman to punch it out at center, and Nashville has to work back at their own blue line. Pass intercepted, quickly played ahead. In over the line, Nylander going to the front of the net. Tavares works around back of the goal. Tried to find Bertuzzi, but the pass was intercepted before it reached the Leaf winger. And now Nashville will send it down into the Toronto zone. Nashville wearing their road whites because the Leafs are wearing their third jerseys, the dark ones. And not a big fan of them. Back down into the corner. I said that already, didn't I? Well, I repeated it then. Here the Leafs with it to the line and in. Matthews off on the left wing and a shot, and that was stopped by Saros, and the rebound bounced high and went over top of the net.
Boy, Matthews seems to be dangerous every shift, doesn't he?
Back down into the Toronto zone. Played around the boards. Off the glass and out at center by Liljegren. And icing is going to be called, and it'll be brought back. Saros is fun to watch. He is so athletic and so quick. But as a small goaltender, that's what you have to be, right?
We just on that one chance that the Leafs had, he was well outside the top of the crease to cut down the angle. So that's one of the things that, if you do have a bigger goaltender and he's struggling, it may not be quite as noticeable because of the sheer size. So for Saros, he's got to be active and work a lot harder every night.
Here's a steal and in a goal. Oh, Marner got right between the defensemen who tried to go D to D in front of their own goal, and Marner picked their pocket, but couldn't beat Saros as the puck was rolling by the time he was in so close. Played back down into the Toronto end. Liljegren starts out, works to center. Now he's going to shoot it in. Saros couldn't trap it, and it caromed almost dangerously right to the side of his own goal, but his defensemen were there to take it away. Nashville get it into the Leaf end. Off the angle with a shot. Evangelista gets it back to the point. Kept in there by Yossi. Puck intercepted. The Leafs are out at center. Trying to one-hand it to the line. And Nyes puts himself offside, I think. And so the whistle will stop play and bring a face-off outside the Nashville blue line.
And Matthew Nyes had maybe the keep-in of the year against the Dallas Stars. Puck was thrown back to the point on the power play. He was going to his right. It came to his left. He had to dive and sweep it over to Morgan Riley. And seconds later, Tyler Bertuzzi redirected one into the net. Giveaways are 7-6. Nashville so far in this game.
17-8. The Leafs have outshot the Predators, but we're tied at ones here in the second period. Leafs opened the scoring, but now here are the Leafs in with a shot, and Saros is down in the butterfly to swallow that up on a long shot by Noah Gregor. And
Gregor's
another face-off coming in the Nashville zone.
Pretty good release, isn't it? Like we saw it. I mean, a bad goal from the Montreal side, but you saw the goal against the Canadiens. Kind of a sharp angle, but zipped it past the glove side and off the post and in on Jake Allen. And he's had a couple of opportunities here against UC Saros tonight. Biggest one, of course, earlier in the period when he put one off the post.
Certainly on the fourth line, he's the one noticeable as far as offensive.
And you can see him moving up and down the lineup as well.
Face off in the circle to the left of Saros. And Gregor has to move in as Holmberg was waved out. And the draw scrummed and kicked back, then launched high to center ice, forcing Giordano back into his own zone. He'll regroup it with Lagesson, who gets it down into the Nashville area. Reeves unable to trap the puck on the boards. Predators are out at center, dropping it back, and the Leafs are able to come away with it and now bring it through center ice. Gregor in on the left wing, going wide, works around with a centering pass. Reeves a backhand, and it went wide of the net into the near corner. Gregor trying to come up with it. Reeves gets it back to the point. Long shot is deflected wide of the net and back of the goal. Reeves steps into his man but can't come up with the disc. And Tomasino will play it out into the center ice area high to the Leaf blue line. Nylander circles back. Return pass finds Willie through center. Nifty move in on the wing. Holds, then shot it. And that was, I thought that might have hit the goal post as well, as Nylander got that low drive in behind Saros, and now it's back down into the Toronto end. Chipped along the boards. Riley got it freed up. Gets it returned in the near corner. Played it off a stick, but it was intercepted, and now a shot, and the best save of the game made by Samsonov on a turnover by Morgan Riley. But a pretty good save made by the Maple Leaf goaltender there.
Boy, it was Colton Sissons that had the gift in the slot in front of the Leaf net. And yes, Ilya Samsonov snags it and keeps this game tied.
1-1 is the score. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why they've introduced the Same Game Parlay Plus. It's a game changer. Making a same game parlay across different games has never been easier because the biggest games and most popular markets are all in one place. Check out the Same Game Parlay Plus and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
All right, everyone. Step up and down. Left foot, right foot, you're climbing up a trail. Now back in your Subaru with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and getting active in the real world. Work those abs, driving right through the mud and left and right. Keep that core engaged and bend at the knees as you load more into your Subaru. Windows down, take in that outdoor air and park.
Get more value out of every kilometer at your local Subaru dealer, starting with award-winning safety.
Move up to Heathwood. Hi, I'm Hugh Heron. Experience true luxury at Williamsburg Green and Kitchener. Heathwood's all-brick homes are built with upgraded features and elevated finishes. Chef-inspired kitchens, spa-like en-suites, and a fully finished lower level. Even better, Williamsburg Green has parks, playgrounds, and trails to explore. It's time to move up to Heathwood. Learn more at heathwood.com.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
Leafs won and the Nashville Predators won.
We're just chatting and we've got access to the puck possession stats by each player. And we're talking about how great Austin Matthews has looked. Well, that's less than a second, right?
Okay. So who's counting that?
Yeah.
What happens if he has 5 or 6 of those shots? I mean, where's the point two?
So
31.1. Yeah. Back to the blue line. Klingberg sent it down into the corner. Brighter minds than you and I are working on this, Mr. Roughton. Thank goodness.
Brighter minds than you and I are working on everything else.
Can you imagine if we were put in charge of the shuttle? Here are the Predators in across the line, trying to play it back into the corner, but it rolled off of Kiefer Sherwood's stick. To the point, a long shot. And Samsonov is out nicely to take that on the chest and hold on for a face-off in the Toronto zone.
That is one of the great things about mankind. I had a conversation with my son and said, imagine if everyone in the history of the world was like us. What would not be invented?
Just
from
about everything.
Airfare. I'm guessing we wouldn't have figured out the wheel. I don't know. There'd be no sports.
Yeah, but you know what? Those nice bear hug kind of, the clothing you would have had to, fend for yourself. You'd have been out there with you wouldn't have even invented a bow and arrow.
No.
I don't think mankind would have lasted long if you, me, and your sons and my sons were involved in organizing it.
You see how we all dress, so that we may not have been clothes.
Well, hopefully we live in a warm spot. Not up here.
At least you're good with a map, but then somebody else would have to make it.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
The humanity.
The humanity, that's right. For the love of God, I thought turkeys could fly. Right out at center ice. Slip it in there for Tavares, but it was intercepted and shot back in, and now the Predators with a chance. Good save by Samsonov. Is breaking in was Trennan, as the Leafs got caught looking up ice, and the Nashville forward was in behind everyone.
You never know.
As the Leafs got caught looking up ice, and the Nashville forward was in behind everyone.
You know, we're also talking during the commercial break with Ilya Samsonov and saying that the fact that Joseph Wall has been so good, it does make it more difficult. Because now you feel like not only are you competing with yourself, now you're saying, I got to keep it going. I've got to try to replicate what he's done. So that just puts a little more pressure. You can say you don't worry about it or block it out, but it's all there, all that noise.
Well, if nothing else, you're going to get reminded of it by the media in Toronto daily. Played into the corner. Good hit there by the Leaf defenseman to knock his man down. Klingberg trying to push it along the wall, but Holmberg couldn't come up with it. And now Klingberg trying to launch it out at center, and he's done just that. Predators shoot it right back in again, but it's from their side of center ice, so an icing call coming. 10:24 left to go here in the second period. We're still tied 1-1. Shots are 19-11 in favor of the Nashville Predators. Derek McKenzie, good friend of ours, is the assistant coach, along with Mr. Burnett. Both good friend of ours is the assistant coach, along with Mr. Burnett. Both young men from Sudbury, Ontario. And Derek's dad is coaching the Sudbury Wolves. The old mailman, Kenny McKenzie.
Now, that's not his first stint, though,
No,
is it?
no. Oh, no.
He's a few times.
He's been involved with the Wolves for a long time. Played out at center ice, and here are the Leafs in across the line, looking for Marner in front of the goal. Yarncrook couldn't spot him, and it was intercepted anyway. Brought back across the line for Trennan. Dropping it off. Good back checking there by the Maple Leafs to free it up. Chipped up on the wing, and out at center ice comes Marner. Over the line, trying to flip it in. Got it into the corner. Then Matthews sent it back out. Marner is upended. No penalty there. The Leafs keep it in, but quickly played back out again, and now back into the Nashville zone it goes as the Leafs are changing. Predators get it to the Leaf blue line. Nyquist will get it down into the corner. Cut off there by Domi. Domi gets it up on the wing and is going to punch it to the line, but not out. Long shot went off the mark wide. Leafs intercept an errant pass in their own zone and hammer it off the glass and clear it high to the blue line. Then knocked down there and almost Nyes able to get away. Leafs turn the puck over in the neutral zone. Couldn't hook up with the winger to get it into the Nashville end. And now the Predators have sent it the length of the ice. And an icing charge coming. Nylander for the Maple Leafs. Ryan O'Reilly for Nashville in the first period. And that's all the scoring we've got. Charge coming. Nylander for the Maple Leafs. Ryan O'Reilly for Nashville in the first period. And that's all the scoring we've got.
Another good sign for the Leafs is domination in the face-off circle. 61% of the draws they've won so far in this game. Or we've had games where they've been halfway through the second period where they've been 28, 30%. And they've got the Tavares line out now with the face-off in the Nashville zone.
Draw scrummed. Predators come away with it. They'll skate it to center and knife it in on the right wing. Trying to drive the net was Tomasino. But the Mississauga native had it deflect, and it goes over the glass out of play, and a face-off coming in the Toronto end of the rink with 8:55 left to play here in period number 2. The Leafs won, the Predators won. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Still to this day, if I listen to that record, I'll feel things that I didn't feel years ago.
Hi, I'm Conan O'Brien. Hear my in-depth conversation with Nirvana as In Utero turns 30. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend with Dave Grohl, Chris Novoselic, and producer Steve Albini. Hear encores throughout the week on Channel 34. Schedule at SXM Lithium or listen right now with the SiriusXM app. Just search Nirvana.
The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski. Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Under review. It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. Had all these good players around him. Wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under review with Mick Kerr. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Hi, this is Ray Hudson, and for all the biggest matches from club soccer's holy grail, the UEFA Champions League, tune in to SiriusXM FC 157
and the Leafs Radio Network.
Second period is brought to you by Desjardins Insurance. Insurance with a heart so big it shows. Visit Desjardins.com/heart today. Morgan Riley had a goal and assist game. as the Predators send the puck wide of the net. That bettered Tim Horton, who had 80. But he's got a little ways to go. Ian Turnbull, 98. Thomas Kaberle, 102. Boreas Solming, 175 multi-point games for the Maple Leafs. Played back into the Toronto zone. Out at center ice. Nashville trying to slip it back in. All three Predators played back into the Toronto zone. Out at center ice. Nashville trying to slip it back in. All three Predators around in the corner. Now it goes to Sherwood, who goes around back of the net. Played back to the point. Now it goes to Sherwood, who goes around back of the net. Played back to the point, and a drifting shot taken by Roman Josi is easily handled by Samsonov. And play will be whistled dead with a face-off coming. Pretty good elbow thrown there by Yakov Trenin on Nylander, and he seems to be feeling the effects of it at the Toronto bench. Leafs have already lost Timmins and
Jake McCabe out of the lineup.
And Lagesson has been brought up from the Marlies. But the Leafs are in such a tight situation with the cap that they really can't do anything.
No, Lagesson's played less than 6 minutes in this game.
Played down into the Nashville zone. A centering pass. That was blocked. Grabbed again. Unable to center. There was Domi. He goes after it and leaves it for the defense. Now back to Domi at the blue line. Camp, right wing side. Klingberg holds. Tried to center. Hit a skate. Klingberg's down low again. And the puck comes free and the Leafs have it once more. Camp back to the point where Domi's stationed. Domi works into the slot. Still with it, off on the left wing. Back it comes to Domi, works into the slot. Still with it, off on the left wing. Back it comes to Klingberg. Klingberg shot, knocked down in front of the net. Klingberg trying to move to keep it in. Finds his defense partner on the left wing side, and it comes back to him. Klingberg on the near side for Domi, trying to center. That's blocked, but the Leafs have it again. Back to the blue line, Klingberg. Middle of the ice, top of the circle, still with it. Pass down low, centering feed, knocked in front, they score! Mark Giordano playing left wing. That rotation, always having a forward back at the blue line, allowing the defenseman to go down the wall and every once in a while go to the net, and allowing the defenseman to go down the wall and every once in a while go to the net. And the veteran 40-year-old has the Leafs out in front.
Boy, and he plays this perfectly. David Kampf was in front. Now, one of the things that the Leafs took advantage of during that whole stretch was that Juuso Parssinen had lost his stick. So essentially the Leafs almost had a power play opportunity. And I think that's where Giordano was waiting to come down. But David Kampf makes a great pass from the top of the crease. He just shovels it to his left. And Giordano swept it into the empty side, and the Leafs have their second one-goal lead of the night.
So Mark Giordano.
Tied, and the Leafs have their second one-goal lead of the night.
So Mark Giordano, creeping down off the left wing, finds himself at the side of the goal and jams it home. And his 156th career goal, 570 career points as a drive goes wide of the Leaf goal. And his first goal and second point of the season. And the Leafs have the lead once more. Offense from the defense. Something that was a big issue last year, or made an issue anyway. Has been a little more last year, or made an issue anyway. Has been a little more frequent in the early going this year, Mr. Ralph.
The Nashville defensive core have yet to score this year.
Pass, boy, a couple of stick handling moves right along the blue line were awfully close to offside. Back of the goal, Trenin trying to get it off on the wing, does. Fabro to the point, a shot, knocked down, puck into the corner. Leafs chipping it along, but I think there's going to be a penalty for tripping here.
Hard to believe you dominate this much of the game, and the penalties are going to be 3-1 for Nashville. And it's going to be another trip. Fulton Sisson was brought down to the left of Samsonov. And actually, you know what? This a pretty easy one to call as Yarncroc came in and swung his stick like an axe into the feet of the Nashville players. So the Predators will go to their third power play.
Giordano from Camp and Domi. And the Leafs lead 2-1. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Do more in a reliable Subaru, they said. Enjoy more time together to go more places with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive, they said. More award-winning safety for more peace of mind, but to listen to one song over and over again with fantastic acoustics. I love you, family, but the singing, nobody warned me about the singing.
Hurry to your local Subaru dealer and get more out of every kilometer this fall, including more karaoke.
And your truck, we're cheap. And your truck, we're cheap. And your truck, we're cheap. And your truck. Take 2 in a truck, 2 in a truck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2 in a truck, 2 in a truck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2 men in a truck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks. So give us a call today.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important news bulletin. Desjardins Insurance was spotted downtown helping everyone in its path. Unpredictable weather, fallen tree branches, wayward baseballs flying to it all. Is there nothing this large and friendly ally won't do for neighbors in need? Never before have we seen insurance with a heart so big it shows.
Desjardins Insurance, home and auto. Learn more at desjardins.com/heart.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey.
2 good saves, 3 good saves, another shot, 4 good saves made.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
Maple Leafs to the penalty kill, leading 2-1. 5:54 left, second period. It is Yarncroc for tripping at 14:06. Mark Giordano getting the Leafs ahead. Draw to the circle to the right of Ilya Samsonov, who's looked more comfortable and confident as this game has gone on.
Yeah, better here in the second period.
Draw won by Toronto, who's looked more comfortable and confident as this game has gone on.
Yeah, better here in the second period.
Draw won by Toronto. Giordano steps around the Leaf net, fires a strike down on UC Saros. Predators start. Giordano steps around the Leaf net, fires a strike down on UC Saros. Predators start out. Tyson Barrie makes a little spinning move to gain some traction and then tried to make a pass and had it deflect into the bench area, and it may have clipped Alexandre Carrière right in the mouth.
He's bleeding.
Sitting on the end of the bench, minding my own business, and someone shoots the puck at me.
Might have even caught him closer to the ear, no? No, right on the schnoz.
Right
a bit of a bloody nose.
Yep. Draw one by Florida. Right
a bit of a bloody nose.
Yep. Draw one by Florida. Barrie will owe him a dinner or something. Drop pass. Brought out by the Predators to the line and trying to bring it in with Roman Josi. He made a move at the blue line, but it may have been Ryan O'Reilly who was outside.
Roman Josi won the Norris Trophy as the league's top defenseman in 2019-20. But in 21-22, he had 96 points. 96. And did not win it. Cale Makar won it. Had 10 fewer points, but Makar had 28 goals on the season. Makar had 28 goals on the season.
Josi at this point, just 3 assists. Oh, check that. 4 assists. Had the assist on the O'Reilly goal. Brought to the blue line and just in. Here's O'Reilly feeding it off on the right wing side as the Predators try to set up. Back to the point it goes, looking to the near side for Forsberg. It goes along the right wing boards instead. Now back to Forsberg, closing with a shot, and they score. Coming across in front of the net was Roman Josi. And was it O'Reilly again stationed off to the side? It appears that it was. So the former Leaf has scored twice against his former mates. Aside, it appears that it was. So the former Leaf has scored twice against his former mates, and it is tied at 2.
And again, the Leaf penalty killing is becoming a concern. I mean, Ryan O'Reilly is tied up momentarily by Mark Giordano, but he is able to get his stick free and redirect it the open side. No chance for Samsonov on this.
Yeah, I thought Josi initially, but he jumped to get out of the way, didn't he? So now the Leafs back the other way, and a shot is blockered away nicely by Saros. And now here's Bertuzzi working into the near corner. Ridden off the puck, but drags it along and gets it to Tavares. Tavares trying to find Nylander, and a penalty coming now for slashing to Nashville. So the officials are starting to get involved a little more.
The same official made both calls here. Is Lauzon going to go? And as the Leafs just one power play on the night, that led to the power play goal by William Nylander at 13:32 of the first period. So 3 of the 4 goals have come with the extra man, and actually the goal by Mark Giordano here in the second period for the Leafs came when a Nashville player was without a man, and actually the goal by Mark Giordano here in the second period for the Leafs came when a Nashville player was without a stick for a long stretch before the Leafs put the puck in the net.
Forsberg and Evangelista draw the assists on the Nashville goal. Leafs to the power play, ranked 4th in the league with the man advantage. A pass in deflects just wide and grabbed off by the Predators and fed to center and then shot the rest of the way down the ice. One of the areas that Ryan O'Reilly was so instrumental with Toronto as the Leafs bring it in on the left wing, and then a drop pass by Matthews, and not prepared for it was Tavares. Brought back into the Toronto zone now by Trennan, trying to work in front of the goal. Leafs force it into the corner, fed around the boards to the far side. The Predators are going to rag it and send it back to their own blue line. Minute 22 left in the penalty as it is shot down the ice into the Leaf zone.
Leafs really haven't even set up in the Nashville zone yet.
Drop pass for Klingberg. He starts out, then flips it back. Marner coming through neutral ice. Weaves on the left wing. Played in over the line by Matthews. Klingberg trying to keep it in. Marner does. Near side Nylander closing with a shot. Good pad save. Matthews with the rebound and takes it back at the net. Matthews into the slot for Willie. Nylander's shot doesn't get past the block in front of the net of Nyquist. Back to the blue line. Marner, or at least Matthews, down low with Tavares trying to come out from the side. Couldn't tuck it in. Nylander against the boards. Loose puck back to the goal. Clipped back into the near corner. Quickly played out and down the ice by Jeremy Lauzon down into the Toronto zone. Sisson's got the penalty as it is brought to center ice and in by the Leafs second unit. Nyes down into the corner. Yarncrook got it back to him. Nyes trying to play it back to the point, but it's intercepted by O'Reilly and played out into the center ice area. And a shot deflects off a leg and goes into the far corner. And the Leafs have just 3 seconds left on this power play. 1 for 2 on the night now. And out of the box steps Colton Sissons as the Leafs get it down into the zone. Played back on the near wing for Nyes. Nyes dropping it off. Played quickly into the corner. A centering pass. Didn't reach anyone. Nyes with the loose puck, though. Works down around back of the net. Got it in front. And it was cleared to the line, but not out. Kept in by Giordano. Giordano gets it back again at the point. Doesn't shoot it. Dishes it off on the wing, and a shot was knocked down by Saros. And played to the line, but not out. Another long shot. Blocked in on the left wing. Stopping up is Colton Sissons. Trying to play it in front of the net. Then it was chipped to the net and caught by Samsonov, who stops play with a minute 40. And caught by Samsonov, who stops play with a minute 48 left to play here in the second period. And the teams have traded goals in the first and traded goals in the second And we are tied in a 2-2 contest.
Well, the Nylander with a couple of great opportunities. And one, Saros made the glove save. Austin Matthews got the rebound, but Saros was out challenging Matthews after that as well. Leafs some glove save. Austin Matthews got the rebound, but Saros was out challenging Matthews after that as well. Leafs have controlled the game pretty well. 24-14 the shots. But the penalty kill is just 1 for 3 in this game. Ryan O'Reilly likes playing against old teams, doesn't he? Remember the game against Buffalo with the Leafs was a 3-goal night.
Played down in around back of the net. Reeves sent a blind pass on the backhand out in front. No one there. And Evangelista brings it back into the Leaf zone. Now into the slot, and a shot whistled over top of the net by Thomas Novak. Back to the point. Kept alive by the Predators. Down into the corner it goes. They play it back. Back to the point. Kept alive by the Predators. Down into the corner it goes. They play it back to the point. Walking the line with it is Yossi. Yossi leaves it there. One of the Predators was hauled down. No penalty on Tyson Barrie, who has it now. Down into the corner. Trying to work back. Barrie at the point. A lot of shot go. That was blocked by Reeves, and it's out at center ice. Reeves trying to limp it off as he has to stay out there. Puck onto the near side. Grabbed off by McDonough. McDonough back to Barrie. Barrie to the far side. A whistling drive. May have been off the side of the net. Comes all the way back now by the Leafs and played down into the zone. Icing waved off. Fortunately, Reeves will be able to get to the bench. Some played down into the zone. Icing waved off. Fortunately, Reeves will be able to get to the bench. Lead pass through center is intercepted by Toronto. Banked out into neutral ice and down in on goal. Saros almost misplayed that, but scoops it into the corner. 28 seconds left to go in the period. Predators at center ice. Nyquist trying to get in over the line. Failed to do so. Now a rolling puck to the far wing. Batted by Lauzon down into the Toronto zone. 14 seconds left in the period. Tavares circling on the boards. Muscles his way up the right wing. Muscles his way past one player. Plays it into the zone, but wing. Muscles his way past one player. Plays it into the zone, but was too well covered by two other Predator players. And there's the horn that ends the period. So a pair of power play goals by Ryan O'Reilly and single tallies from Nylander and Giordano. And we're tied at twos heading to the dressing room.
I agree with you. Ilya Samsonov looked a lot more settled in the second period than he did in the opening 20 minutes. But both periods similar in the sense that the Leafs take the lead in the period only to give up a power play goal and have things knotted up once again. So it'll be interesting to see if the Leafs can take advantage of a third period and maybe get another power play opportunity of their own.
25-14, the shots favor Toronto after 40 minutes. The score deadlocked at a pair. Ailish Forfar and Justin Cuthbert standing by with our second period intermission. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Christopher Mad Dog Russo is still here. Wait, did he actually go anywhere?
No, I've been wrong on the Diamondbacks from day one. If they win, I will retire on the spot.
Lucky for us, you can still catch the Hall of Famer weekdays on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
I probably didn't realize that this would cause such an uproar.
With his unique brand of sports talk that you'll love, it's Mad Dog Unleashed with Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Weekdays of sports talk that you'll love. It's Mad Dog Unleashed with Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82 and the Sirius XM app.
The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and
Yeah.
They know what's across the street.
Come on. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I never
We
thought
gotta wait.
about
Another
that.
20 minutes.
Right. Another 20 minutes before we can go listen to some country music down there if we were there. At any rate, we're headed to overtime. The goal scoring in the first period, Nylander from Matthews and Tavares. Then O'Reilly on the power play from Yossi and Forsberg. Second period, Giordano from Kemp and Domi. And then O'Reilly again on the power play from Forsberg and Evangelista. And it is tied at 2s. The Shots favor Toronto 35-23.
And I believe for the Nashville Predators.
The Shots favor Toronto 35-23.
And I believe for the Nashville Predators, this is the first time they will head to overtime this season. Leafs are 2-0 in games that have gone beyond regulation time.
Leafs outshot the Predators in every period. 12-6 in the first, 13-8 in the second, and 10-9 in the third.
I think you like the way the Leafs have played. They, like we said, haven't given up a whole lot. They give up a couple of power play goals in this game to Ryan O'Reilly. Leafs, by the way, opened the season with a game that went to overtime. Eventually a shootout that Mitch Marner had the decisive snipe in that. And then the second game of this road trip, John Tavares on a feed from Willie Nylander won it in overtime in Tampa. The game that the Leafs trailed 3-1 in the third period.
Sorry, Jimmy. The Leafs have been the more dangerous team. Of the 35 shots, 3 are not counted, and they are crossbars.
Yes.
That were in behind UC Saros, but...
and I mean, the one by Max Domi, I mean, that's half an inch. You know, it hit the bottom part of the crossbar, but ricocheted out the other side.
So we're headed to overtime. They switch ends. Leafs to the left and the Predators to the right. See if the Leafs can catch a little lightning here, and I would imagine David Camp will start. David Camp will start with Marner, which has been the case ever since the Leafs got scored on early in the overtimes last year. And it is Camp and Marner and Riley. And if the Leafs win the draw, Matthews is coming over the boards. And they don't. Nashville controls the faceoff. And Yossi goes back into his own zone. He'll station behind the net. Camp remains out on the ice. And Yossi behind the net. Camp remains out on the ice. And Yossi being marked by Camp gets the puck ahead. Parasinen starts through neutral ice. He's across the line on the right wing side. Works in along the boards. The Leafs almost stole it, but he gets it back again. Now he falls, and the Leafs still don't get the loose puck. They've had a couple of opportunities and not been able to turn it over. Yossi at the blue line is going to circle back and allow a change of players. Leafs are not going to be able to do that with Camp, who is forced all the way back to force the defenseman back behind the goal. Now up on the wing, and now Camp will get to the bench. Here's O'Reilly coming through neutral ice. Works in on the right wing side. Stop. Here's O'Reilly coming through neutral ice. Works in on the right wing side. Stops up. Looks for a man in front. Still with it as he gets it off on the right wing side. Pass back for him at the blue line. Riley playing it along the boards and brought out at center ice again now by Nyquist. And Nyquist will attack, and he gets through the defense. He's in! Tried to go wide, and he went too wide. And when he tried to center it, it went right through the goal crease out behind the netminder wide of the goal.
Boy, a brain cramp by the Leafs there. 3 players got caught on one side of the ice.
And where the Leafs had the puck all night on the overtime a couple of nights ago, it has been Nashville in possession throughout, coming off on the wing. Nights ago, it has been Nashville in possession throughout, coming off on the wing. Down in around back of the net goes Novak. Novak dropping it off for Nyquist. Nyquist works around back of the goal. The Leafs have really not had possession of the puck, although they've had ample opportunities turning it over, but not being able to recover. Now, here's a couple of Leafs trapped. A shot in. That may have gone off the goalpost, and the Leafs trying to break out on the left wing. Working to center ice was Matthews, who stops it up. Now waiting for teammates to change. Flips it again. Had it stolen. And now here's Nashville back with it again. Nashville in, working in front, dropping it back to the blue line, closing, scores! Phil back with it again. Nashville in, working in front, dropping it back to the blue line, closing, scores! Roman Josi comes off and scores the winner. And I'm sure that Austin Matthews will think twice about this. In a battle for the puck, he'd been on for a while. He could have easily just sent it back into his own end, got things stretched out and settled down, but didn't. Tried to make an extra play on the boards. It gets turned over. Josi scores the winner.
Yeah, he got into that battle right in front of the Nashville bench. And instead of even just trying to chip it into the Nashville zone, he tries to chip it off the boards and go get it. But he had to go through two Predators. They were knocked down. And Roman Josi has the first goal of the season for a Nashville defenseman. And this coming after Nyquist had probably a better chance than that. But first Morgan Riley got caught out in a long shift. And then after that it was Austin Matthews. And the Leafs not sharp in a lot of areas, including when you do have to include too many men on the ice penalties in the third period of a tie game. One is going to make you unhappy. Two, I think you've got to say, is quite simply unacceptable. But the Leafs, they come back 3-1-1 in the 5-game road trip. I think you'll take it. Ilya is simply unacceptable. But the Leafs, they come back 3-1-1 in the 5-game road trip. I think you'll take it. Ilya Samsonov takes the loss, gives up 3 more goals. But I think there were some positive signs from Samsonov in this game. Although we are expecting that Joe Woll will be back and go for the Leafs next Tuesday with the Leafs return home.
Josi was hit the goalpost to deflect it into the net. So the Maple Leafs are going to find themselves down 3-2 in the final in overtime. We're going to ship it off to Eilish Forfar and Justin Cuthbert. The postgame show is on its way. You've been listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs on its way. You've been listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
You've been listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network. There's a Molson with your name on it.
Let's go, football fans.
This week on Let's Go with Tom Brady and Larry Fitzgerald and me, Jim Gray.
When I look at my career, I was able to do it every single year. Now, every game wasn't perfect, but every game was pretty good. I believe that if someone does make it as long as I made it with the degree of success, then I give them a lot of respect. It would be an unbelievable accomplishment.
Listen to Let's Go Monday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on NFL Radio Channel 88 and the Sirius XM app.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. On NFL Radio Channel 88 and the Sirius XM app.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. NHL Morning Skate.
Hall of Fame defenseman Chris Pronger.
You look at rest and recovery now, that whole mindset has shifted tremendously from when I first came to the league in 93. So, there's a lot of pros and cons to everything. But overall, when you look at the skill level of the player and the speed of the game, it's certainly gone to another level.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. In case you missed it on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere. Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Under review.
It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. Had all these good players around him. Hey, wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance, because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under review with Mick Curran. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. With Mick Curran. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Point.
I truly believe in 3 years, Jack Hughes will be worth $15 million a year. For $15 million a year, they got Hughes and Hischier locked up together. Those are two brilliant contracts, but there isn't a single area where I look at the Devils and think, okay, this is of concern to me. They're locked and loaded.
The Point with Boomer Gordon. Weekdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Radio Network, Ailish Forfar and Justin Cuthbert here with you for a few minutes before we throw it to Leafs talk. Maple Leafs lose 3-2 in overtime to the Nashville Predators on the end of a 5-game road trip where they still got 7 points.
Yeah, 7 of 10 on a road trip is pretty good, but it could have been 8, and maybe it should have been 8, because that's a little bit of a disappointing finish to the road trip and this game. I mean, when you try to burn off the final 30 seconds to get yourself to overtime, it makes some sense because you want to get that point for sure. But that passivity was met by more passivity when you start with defensive guys at the beginning of overtime. Mm-hmm. And Nashville controlled the play throughout overtime, ended up winning guys at the beginning of overtime. Mm-hmm. And Nashville controlled the play throughout overtime, ended up winning the game because the Maple Leafs never really found their footing in the extra bonus period.
It did feel inevitable that Nashville was going to get that OT winner. They had a couple chances, and finally Roman Josi does put that one in the net to get the win. Leafs also have Timothy Liljegren doubtful to return, and we're going to find more information about that in the post game, but another hit to the blue line. Let's take one last look around the NHL before we send it off to Leafs Talk. The NHL scoreboard is presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Play responsibly.
As we mentioned, Florida Panthers 3-2 over Seattle. Boston beat the Detroit Red Wings 4-1. We mentioned Florida Panthers 3-2 over Seattle. Boston beat the Detroit Red Wings 4-1. The Islanders shut out the Blue Jackets 2-0. It's currently overtime between the Jets and Canadiens 3-3. And Ottawa beat Pittsburgh 5-2. So some wins there inside the Atlantic Division.
Nick Nurse got revenge over the Toronto Raptors 114-107. And top of the 7th, Diamondbacks up 4-1 in the World Series.
There you go.
All right, that's it for us. Leafs Talk with JD Bunkus and Sam McKee is next. Thanks for listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
All right, Leafs Talk, baby. It's JD Bunkus. It's Sam McKee. The Leafs close their road trip. A successful road trip, by the way. Like a really good road trip with a point. Road trip. A successful road trip, by the way. Like a really good road trip with a point. They outplay the Nashville Predators, but lose in overtime. There's only one way to start this conversation today, bud. And it's, what did you think of Samsonov?
Oh, I thought you were going to say William Lageson's Leaf debut. I thought that's where we were starting. Yes, I didn't think he was tested a ton. You? Yeah. I thought the first goal was a little bit reeky. I thought the second one was a great tip by Ryan O'Reilly, and I thought the third one was just a wrister from the sweet spot that maybe he could have saved, but I'm not going to fault him too much for it in 3-on-3. I'd say a solid B plus maybe, but like nothing that's making me say that he should start a B plus maybe. But like nothing that's making me say that he should start on the first game back from the road trip on Tuesday. You?
No, he's definitely not starting the next game. He definitely didn't earn that. And I don't know how to really feel about it for him, because I thought that he started the game incredibly shaky. Like, he was swimming and diving and out of position with a lot of frequency. There was this one weird play where, this one right here, where he goes to play a puck for some reason, and the Predators player just like beats him to it by a mile and ends up just like what could have been a super ugly goal, right? Like, opens himself up for just one that he would have really lived to have regretted. And the first goal, one that he would have really lived to have regretted. And the first goal, that goes right through him, man. So ugly one to start, bad start for Samsonov, but thought he